Put yours down.
I am right now. You do it.
I am.
Look down. Oh my gosh.
But yeah, just
Hold on.
Yeah.
There's no one here.
Des?
Let me see yours.
My drink is cooked.
Oh shit! That boy got nickel dollar.
He said my joint cooked.
Yo, I respect it. You said it.
Yeah.
Yo, I went to the game. Short was like, let me see your hairline. Not taking off that.
Yeah, that joint do like $1.
You gotta do yourself first, yo. Yeah, my joint came back, but my joint is gone. Pierre, shut up, yo.
Stress to do it too. What happened?
Alex will have it.
Buddy,
We'll have somebody.
Buddy, yeah, we know his drink.
What? Bad hair.
No, it ain't no secret. No, it ain't no secret. That's
What?
all we talk-
Laughing.
His joint.
Oh yeah.
I said it ain't no secret. Your joint gone. We all agree. Listen,
Everybody. They used to be like this, yo. Don't touch.
when I go get a slip up, do not touch up here. Let's do his own thing, yo.
Let it rock.
You laugh too loud.
Yo, you got the typical like New York dude got a hat on all day, and then once you take it off, it's like yeah.
I can't move the way I used to. Had to call the audible. I put in the work, no humble flex. And talk of the town, you see who next. They on checkers, I'm on chess. Had to hit up with the X. XenHouse.
This is the XenHouse Podcast. We're here.
We here.
It's your boy, Des Hines.
It's your boy A. Joe.
Ross B.
What you think?
I thought it was normal.
That was solid.
That was Ross Bertrand or that was Ross B?
But he did the.
Right.
I added the shoulders.
It's the Ross B.
Nah, you get spicy. That boy get spicy.
Alex, you straight?
I'm always strict.
Okay.
He
Straight
had to
line.
listen.
Straight line.
Hey, today we got a special guest. We known this guy for
Many years.
A very long
over
time.
what, close to 20 years.
Just the fam in general.
Yep.
Because I went to school with his brother.
We know this dude for a long time. He's in the finance world. He's a husband. He's a father. He's an author. The one and only. Oh, don't get it messed up. He got away with words.
Yeah.
He got away with words. Sean Cribbin.
Sean Cribbin.
Sean, what's up, baby?
I feel like I made it being on this. There's two events this year that made me feel like I made it. One is being on this podcast.
Okay.
Two is having my book in Lorca. Shout out to Lorca.
Come on.
Oh, Lord, got coffee?
Yeah.
Stop playing.
No, but
what's
it's good to
up.
be here.
So, just some background. Sean, I'm just going to tell how we first met. I feel like we met Pop Warner days back in the day. Football, it was football related. How'd you guys meet Sean? Like, do you remember?
I met Sean through his brother, Tropicana. All right. So his brother, we played Stanford rec basketball together, and all the other sports. But Stanford basketball, I remember in practice one day, his brother goes, "Call me Tropicana." And I said, "Why?" He said, "I got the juice."
Yo, the biggest
what?
fool, but hilarious. Some of it was like dad jokes. But some of it used to be like,
Cribbin used to have you dying.
One time in a game, he went to. I remember, Steph Curry be shooting, turn around, and he made a shot. He said, "Call me KFC because I drop buckets." I looked at him. I said, "That was smooth, yo."
I remember.
But that's how, because you used to run around like a mad boy back in the
I was
day.
giving dudes work. I gave Des and Johnny O some work at Stanford Youth Basketball.
Yeah,
Don't let
give
him,
us
he left that out. I remember one time my brother was working, this was in high school, he was too old for this shit. We was working at the Italian Center, and we used to prank call people back in the day. And he meant to prank call you, but he forgot to block his number. And he left you a voicemail as Patrick from SpongeBob. I don't know if you
I
remember
do remember that. I do remember that now. Think about that. That was a long time ago. Damn. That's a classic. That's when I had the Nextel.
Yo, dudes had too much time. So, Sean, tell us a little bit about yourself. Growing up in Stanford, stuff like that.
About myself.
Yeah.
Stanford, I love Stanford. Born and raised in Stanford. Probably never leaving Stanford.
Ever.
Rooting for everybody from Stanford.
That's me too. I'm never leaving.
Specifically, if you are from Stanford and you stayed in Stanford, I'm rooting for you.
Yeah.
That includes Jafar Fort, by way of Stanford. Every time I hear him say by way of Stanford, I feel proud. Shout out to Jafar for it. Shout out to all.
He's
Jafar knocking people out left and
Jafar
right.
knocking people out, boy.
That's what we do.
That's
Yo, for real, I was just with everybody last night. I was with Josh, Sonny, John McClain, all these guys. So I love being from here. Like you said, I work in the finance industry. I don't love the work, but it pays the bills. Lately, I've been able to find aspects of it that I enjoy. But what I love to do is, I used to say I love to write, but that's not, I don't think that's true. That was just like, that was the version of Sean that had marginal belief and faith. But as my belief and my faith grows, I feel like saying I'm a writer minimizes what I really am. I feel like all of us have gifts. Every single one of us has a gift. You can believe that or not believe that. You can believe that it comes from God or from some other source, but we all have gifts. And the way I feel right now is my gift is the word, is using words. And specifically, lately I've been praying like, yo, I need a purpose in relation to my gift. I can't just be out here doing shit because that leads to me making a fool of myself. I've been on Instagram singing, and I love doing that shit. Now, this is important. People need to hear this. People need to hear this.
You know I'm gonna put a clip up.
You can't find them. There's a difference. One of the things I learned this year, by the way, Instagram is just tricky generally for everyone, but especially if you engage with art in any way. But one of the things I learned this year is there's a difference between what you're called upon to do and what you enjoy doing. I enjoy being melodious. When I'm walking around my house, I'm singing, I'm fucking making shit up and being melodious. But that is not what I feel I'm called to do. I feel I'm called to, what I say is my job, my purpose with my gift is to serve the word of God via lullabies of love. And anything that I write and share needs to be consistent with that. I need to be able to tie it back to that, or else I'm not sharing it. And before I had that, I was just floating through, like, Instagram in particular was the trickiest. There was a landmine. I would upload shit and just not know why I'm uploading it. And
just doing it for content, structure.
There was nothing. There was no meaning to where there was nothing. There was no orienting principle. And so right now, I'm focused on that. I'm focused on serving the word of God via lullabies of love. Sharing, using my gift to serve God. Just like you guys do here. XenHouse, XenHouse. That's what it means, right? Friendly to strangers. That, to me, I go to Abraham in the book of Genesis. He's the preeminent stranger. He's 75 years old, chilling at home. He's got everything he needs, living with his parents. God says, go be a stranger. Go have an adventure. Go journey. And then for the rest of his lineage is strangers. And him in particular, Abraham in particular, is XenHouse. He's the first embodiment of XenHouse in those books. The three angels come to speak to him right before they tear up Sodom and Gomorrah. They come speak to him. He welcomes them, tells us he doesn't know these people. He tells his wife, make him a feast, fucking washes their feet. You know what I mean? Embraces them.
Bible talk. Some of y'all don't know about.
And then the three angels go to Sodom and Gomorrah, and you guys, they could read the story, but they are not friendly to strangers in Sodom and Gomorrah, and they get fucking blasted.
That just is kind of like the story of America, right? And different versions of places that are very wealthy. There's always an overcoming, or there's always a territory that is being overtaken somehow, some way. But like going back to where you are now, right? Like, you know, when we met you in middle school, high school, different being.
For sure.
Right? Different being, and what in your mind, or what happened, or, you know, what circumstances said, Sean?
But paint the picture. Tell them, what you used to do in middle school and high school.
Man, I was angry.
We gotta pull up the clip of that little kid talking about I'm doing hood rat things with my friends.
So I think like from my perspective, right? Like, you know, like I knew Sean and I knew his best friend. You know, like, and I knew where, you know, should we just I mean,
yeah, it's talk. We're on the podcast. Talk.
So like, you know, based off of where he grew up was different than your upbringing, but I felt like you guys were unbreakable.
For sure.
You know what I mean? And like, I never saw it and I never felt it, but you guys were never angry towards me. But for instance, like I'll use Jones, you know, like our head coach from high school. He always had a quarrel with them. Mm-hmm. I don't know why.
Shout out to Jones.
But he was always like just mad at Jones. And I never knew why. Like I didn't know. But I know to me, like he was always like, yo, what's going on? Like we always had conversation. Mm-hmm. So like to me, he seemed like a normal kid. But I did see him doing bad things. Hood rat things. You know? But times have changed. Yeah. You know, like when you speak to him now, when you look at him now and you look into his eyes when you speak it to him, he's a different person. So like what happened from high school to in between to now? I mean, we know you got kids and stuff now. So
that's a big
that will change your life completely.
Big part of it. No, I was angry, yo. I don't know why I was so angry, but I was fucking angry for a long time. As a kid, as an adolescent, shit, even into my 20s, I was angry. What happened? What changed?
Do you remember why you were angry though?
I don't know why I was angry.
You still don't know why.
I mean, part of it was like my dad had a temper, right? And so that was part of the environment.
You embraced that.
But and for a while, it was like, oh, I was angry because my dad had a temper, but that's not true. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Now, I don't know. Honestly, I don't know why I was angry. I know I always felt like I had something to prove. Mm-hmm. One of the things I say all the time now is I got nothing to prove, especially in the gym. This one, his extra ass workout. Extra. But I had something to prove. I had a chip on my shoulder. To your point, this is real. Hanging out on Spruce and on Con Ave, and being the white kid from basically North Stanford, you know, that did something. Like I felt like I had to be extra aggressive,
right,
in front of everyone, you know, which is not healthy and was not necessary,
right.
But that was part of it. I don't know why I was angry, but for sure I was angry. I don't know when it changed. Obviously, it's like you slowly and gradually mature, but having kids changed everything for me. My son specifically, having my son. Also, to tie it back to poetry, I wrote a little bit in college. A little bit. It was trash. I still have some of it.
But that's trash. Being a poet.
Yeah.
Is having the material.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. Wrote a little bit in college, and then I stopped probably for like, I don't know, almost 10 years until Knox, and when my first son. And when he was born, or right around the time he was about to be born, it just came back to me. And I tell people, when you're having a child, especially if it's your first child, pay attention, because and maybe nothing will come. Maybe there will be nothing that comes back to you. But for me, it felt very clear that was related to Knox. That was a gift. Mm-hmm. It was a gift. And since that, I've not let go of it. Now, I will say, I write when I'm inspired to write. And to me, the biggest difference between an amateur and a professional in anything is the amateur does it when he or she is inspired to do it. The professional does it every day, every fucking day. So I aspire to that, but right now, I would say I'm an amateur writer. I don't know what changed though, bro. I just matured. I got older. I'll say this though, like, I haven't been angry in a long time. Yeah. Like angry, like rage, angry, like throwing a bottle at Jones, rage. And it's not just that one instance. Like me, Slocum, and Brett LaMotta, a couple other people, Stanford Youth Basketball, we went undefeated in the regular season and then lost both of our playoff games because we were fighting. Like, and I lost mad opportunities because of fights and rage. It wasn't just anger, it was rage. That's been a long time since I felt any rage. But for sure, having God as the fundamental, belief in God as the fundamental orienting principle helps me with respect to, let's just say, sin broadly. Right. Because we say we believe in God, but what does that really mean, right? Belief, when I think about belief, like you believe that when you walk on this floor, you won't fall through it. And how do I know you believe it? Because you walk on the floor, right? We say we believe in God, but belief is expressed through action. And so there was one believer and he died on the cross. Everyone else, in my view, it's belief as the fundamental orienting principle. That's the best you can do.
Yep.
And I fail at it every day. And so, but the only thing that helps to orient me is that. Without that, I'm incoherent. I'm fucking floating, directionless and wandering. And so I don't know what it was that made me stop being angry. I think I just gradually matured. But for sure, what keeps me grounded is belief in God as the fundamental orienting principle.
Absolutely. Without God in your foundation, you're lost.
Facts.
So I wanted to also bring up the health journey that we started right around 2019, 2020. Sean came back to work out. Not came back. We started training Sean, and he was out of shape. It was bad. I think he ran like a 8-something, almost a 9 mile. And he was like, yo, I want to get in shape by the time my daughter's born. I want to be able to do this, that, whatever. And that's how we got going. Then COVID hit. So we had nowhere to work out. We started working out at Stanford High outside in March.
It was cold,
so it was cold.
Early
and he was doing 2-3 days a week outside. So, and there was one thing that really stuck to me when we started doing that. I remember I came with a price, and I was like, yo, this is the price, but you my boy, so I want to do, I think I was saying 50 or $70. He was like, nah, your worth is higher than that. Charge me that price. And that joint just woke me up like, damn, that's how your friends should support you.
Yep.
No, they don't want no discount. They want to pay and support. And he was the first one when we started that journey, because during COVID, that was a new journey for us. We trained outside. We had our own thing. We didn't start XenHouse officially yet, but that was something big. Then just your whole journey. Talk to us about how you were living that unhealthy life, and then how you are now.
Yeah, there was just zero intention with respect to health. I was eating. I mean, growing up, I think we probably all, I'll speak for myself, but maybe you guys can relate. I ate like shit. We ate a lot of pasta. We ate processed foods. Everything was processed food growing up. Cereal, pasta. Yeah, all that quick, easy shit.
Dudes was in McDonald's too.
McDonald's. I was killing McDonald's.
Nuggets.
Garden. All that.
Convenience. So come down.
Yeah. So yeah, there was no intention with respect to health. I wasn't thinking about it at all. And I was just telling them, I remember the first, so I came to you off the back of Jamel passing. But before Jamel passed, Sonny got shot and almost died. And before that, Dylan died. And so for me, it was, and it was all like boom, boom, boom. At least it felt that way. And for whatever reason, when Jamel passed, it hit me like, because that was the first like health related issue. Dylan's was a tragedy. Sonny, that was a tragedy. Thank God he's still here. Jamel's was a health issue. And I don't even know if I was aware of COVID at the time, but COVID was just like blossoming. Anyways, Keisha was pregnant with Lennox. So it just hit me. For whatever reason, that moment it hit me. I said, I gotta get healthy. So I still didn't have any intention with respect to eating, but at least now I'm working out with you guys. Also, another thing, like I've really believed this, that God puts people in our lives for a reason. And you were one of those people for me with respect to health and the health journey. And it started with fitness. I would say Mike Aniston is another person who I'd throw in that category with respect to nutrition and everything else outside of just exercise. And I feel like he unlocked a new level of intention with respect to my health. So now, again, it's this as an orienting principle, and I fail at it daily. Last night at fucking midnight, I had bread and butter. You know what I mean? Like lately, I've been bugging, yo. I've been eating, but how I eat now. First of all, I'm here 3 to 4 days a week.
Five,
yeah, I'm here often. I'm always moving. I walk everywhere. I don't take elevators. I walk everywhere. And then I'm intentional about how I eat. So this is important, yo. People need to learn how to eat, and then they can make their own fucking decisions. But for me, real food, that's the first principle. Real food only. So it needs to have a mother or be grown from the ground. And
Talk about it.
it needs to be eating real food. So the cow should not be eating corn and soy.
Nope.
The cow should be eating grass in the field somewhere, okay? And the vegetables should not be eating pesticides.
Absolutely.
They should be grown in your garden or go find a farm that you trust and go check it out, you know? So for me, it's organic carbohydrates, fruits and veggies. I'm not gonna eat carbs unless it's a third fiber. And so that eliminates all processed food, basically. And I eat a lot of protein and fat, specifically fat. I eat a lot of fat.
Oh, we know you love Indian food.
I fuck with Indian food. That's like a guilty pleasure of mine. You know, like
And he fuck with that popcorn too. He got a popcorn problem.
That's evil popcorn. By the way, they make it in Danbury. It's a Connecticut firm, but it's just organic popcorn, pink Himalayan salt, and coconut oil, I think. But cook in butter. Don't cook in olive oil. People think cooking in olive oil is healthy.
And bone marrow.
Bone marrow is good. I fuck with bone marrow. Tallow, beef tallow,
You
beef
gotta
fat.
cook in bone marrow.
I'm with that.
I'm putting y'all on.
Or you could just have a drink of that in the morning, first thing.
I'm putting y'all
Clean out
on,
the
yo.
system.
Dudes think that
Bone marrow,
cooking
chicken
with
broth.
olive oil is healthy. That shit is not healthy. If you gotta look at the smoke point of the oils that you cook with.
Yeah.
And if you cook olive oil beyond its smoke point, it turns from a healthy, what they call a healthy fat. I think damn near all fat is healthy, with the exception of trans fat. But the monounsaturated fat is what they call healthy fat in the olive oil. You flip it to a trans fat if you cook it beyond the smoke point.
Absolutely.
So put olive oil on after you cook your food.
Yeah.
Cook your shit in butter. People are scared of butter and beef fat.
Butter is it.
Yeah, people are scared of saturated fat because it's been linked to cholesterol issues.
Yeah, high cholesterol. But it's actually really good for you. I use butter and bone marrow all the time.
Yeah.
So
Yep. But shout out to Mike. Mike put me on to nutrition as like unlocking another level of health. And I think the most important thing, like I said, real food only for me. And the goal is to maintain what's called insulin sensitivity. So when you,
Boy, Sean spitting.
this is important, yo. When you consume processed carbohydrates, what happens is you get a significant blood sugar response, and then your body releases insulin to basically
level it out.
But you can develop a tolerance for insulin. So if you're consuming processed carbohydrates all day long, you have a constant elevated blood sugar levels, which means you have constantly elevated insulin levels. And when you become insulin resistant, when you develop a tolerance to insulin, it's the beginning of the end. It's cancer, it's diabetes, it's fucking Alzheimer's, it's everything.
It's linked to everything. And obviously, like all the things that you're talking about, we know based off of what we do here, but my dad is also a diabetic. My cousin is a diabetic. So like all of these things are not new to me. So for me, like you're talking about for nutrition, right? I try to do it as much as I can the right way for my family.
Right.
So not just me, but I'm trying to make sure my wife is good, and my daughter is good. Like the same things that we're eating, she's eating. I can't tell you the last time we bought juice, for instance, right? Like everything is juicing for us now. You know what I mean? And like we drink water all day. Like if you catch me drinking a little vitamin water here and there, that's just because I'm like, I need a little sugar.
Yeah.
Switch
But
up.
like besides that, water.
Yeah,
All the time.
water.
But you do need, don't get it twisted, you do need a little bit of sugar and a little bit of sodium here and there. You know what I'm saying?
I'm definitely off juice, unless it's G's juices. I'm fucking with G's juices all day long. Shout out to T's. Other than that, though, I'm off juice. The issue with processed food, and I would say also the issue with juice, is it's overloaded on sugar, and it's with processed foods. There's no fiber, no fiber, and with
Doesn't pass
juice,
through the system. It sits in the system.
right?
It's different.
Fiber. Yo, think about this. Tie it back to God. Wherever you find sugar, it comes with fiber. The only way you can get sugar without fiber is through humans processing your food.
That's talking about Bill Gates playing God.
Hey, all
talked
them
about
folks,
stuff like
all them
something
folks,
earlier.
I hate Coke, by the way. Like Coke, Pepsi, that
The
It's all
fact that
BS to
the
me.
fact that you can eliminate rust with Coca-Cola and you drink it is
Disgusting.
not a good thing. I
Disgusting.
use that to renovate the car.
You use that on the joint?
You had to take rust off of the car.
No, you didn't.
No, he
My
did.
man.
He definitely
And
did.
I showed Dez, and you scrape it right off, and the bolts are brand new.
Oh, that's wild.
That's not
Folks-
good, and
folks
people
is
drink
drinking
that shit.
as we speak right now.
I will use Coca-Cola. You can use that to clean your toilet. You can take off rust. It's scary, and people drink that.
Yeah, that's terrible.
Yeah,
That's not good. But money's the root of all evil because that's what's being promoted in NFL games, halftime. They're going to tell people to do it. Oh, this is a good pregame drink, or like mid-game, halftime. Oh, have the hamburger and drink the Coca-Cola. The Budweiser. They're promoting because it's money.
Yeah,
And
big money.
consumers are going to fall
And
for it.
Coca-Cola owns a lot of different
Yeah,
things.
so it's just a revolving door of just unhealthy habits that the world is consuming. And again, we go back to the Bible. People aren't in their Bible enough.
Yeah,
So they shy away from it. And now social media, these radio hosts, they're sitting down, some of these other podcasts, they're talking about things that people are like, oh yeah, that's like good stuff. But again, if you go back to the Bible, it's going to show you the way. At the end
The
of the
stuff
day,
is in there. And I wanted to get to Sean. There's a couple stories that, Sean wanted to talk about, and one of those is Genesis.
Genesis.
Just the chapter of Genesis.
Genesis.
What stands out to Genesis,
Genesis.
and what do you take from it?
Genesis. So to your point, a lot of people are just not familiar with the Bible. So Genesis is the first book of the Bible, and the first 5 books of the Bible are basically what's called the Torah. Okay, and so it's Genesis is book 1, and then it gets into the story of Exodus. So the plot of Genesis is basically creation of all things, which is amazing. There's so much in here. Anyways, creation of all things.
Boy, getting hyped about
Then
it.
I get
It's like,
excited
no,
about this shit, bro. I like this shit. So it's creation of all things. Then it's the fall, when they eat from the tree they're not supposed to eat of. Then it's the implications of the fall. So it's Tower of Babel, Cain and Abel, Noah and the flood. And then it's like kind of like redemption or like a rescue mission, through Abraham. And then Abraham's lineage, Isaac, Jacob, ultimately to Joseph. That brings the Israelites into Egypt, and then that's where the story of Exodus begins. The Exodus out of the tyranny of Egypt and towards the Promised Land. Right. So first of all, just narratively, it's amazing from a narrative perspective. But to your point, what do I take from it? Yo, we could spend the whole podcast. I'm down.
We talk about this stuff in the morning. So imagine I'm training him 5:30 a.m. and we come in, we just start talking about stuff like this. I remember, would you ask me? I think you asked me,
what's it mean to be made in the image of God?
Yeah, that's
Genesis
the question
chapter
we
1.
came. So imagine 5:30 in the morning. I'm like, damn, I ain't stumbled. Come on, I'm ready. But just 5:30, your mind better be ready because Sean's coming with these questions.
But if you can't tell right now that Sean is in tune with life, like just based on what he's saying so far, you're not in tune with yourself.
Well,
because
to piggyback off of that, then we'll get into the question. Somebody that's in tune with themselves don't give a fuck.
Yes.
And if you're looking at Sean right now,
You got the Jesus walks.
we do not give a fuck. Toes
Sean,
out.
I respect
It's
it.
almost
That's how
December.
it's
His
supposed to
toes
be.
are out.
That's that dad
You don't
life.
give a
That's
damn.
that.
You think he worried about y'all?
You want to be silent.
How about, all right, so to bring it back, Genesis chapter 1. Genesis chapter 1, which is the creation story. So basically God creates the world and everything in it in 6 days. And on the 6th day, he creates man. And he creates man in his image. And we can come back to that too. And he creates man from the dust of the earth. Adam is the man's name. Adama, I think, is the Hebrew, which means of the earth. Creates man from the dust of the earth and the breath of life. And then on the 7th day, he rests. We're supposed to be resting right now.
We're supposed to be
by the way.
chilling.
And this is church, though, so this is good. And then shortly thereafter, he realizes it's not good for man to be alone. By the way, this is the first thing that God says is not good. Throughout the first 6 days, he's working, he's creating, and he's deeming his work and his creations as good. Also, there's game in there. related to pride versus being proud. Like you can be proud, you can't be prideful, but you can be proud. And what does it mean to be proud? First of all, do good work. So do good work and then acknowledge to yourself that I did good work. And that's good. That's fine. Anyways, so the first 6 days, he's deeming his work as good, whatever. He creates man out of the dust of the earth and the breath of life. Then he realizes, oh, it's not good for man to be alone. So to your point, he creates woman out of the ribs of Adam. And then what are the ribs though, right? The ribs protect, you could say they protect, you could say they protect, defend, and shield our lungs, right? And what are our lungs? The breath of life. And so then what does it mean to be a woman made in the image of God? At least I think it means you need to defend, protect, and shield your man always, but in particular when he's most vulnerable, as our lungs would be without ribs, right? So that's one thing. Then you get into the next part of the story is Eve is tricked by the snake into eating from the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. And then she convinces Adam to eat of it. And so this is an important thing for me. And then, of course, they get caught, and God knows and sees everything. And he says to Adam, well, let's say this. He says to Eve, what did you do? Oh, the snake tricked me. Okay. Then he says to Adam, what did you do? Adam says, the woman you sent me made me eat it. So there's game in there for all of us, anyone who's in a relationship. And I'll put my hand up and say, I'm guilty of this at times. It's like, it's not, first and foremost, it's not God's fault. And it's not your wife's fault. It's your fucking fault.
You made the choice.
Yeah, you made the choice. And so own it, right? But I just feel like there's so much truth about the structure of reality, like who we are. Whether you believe in God or not, you can learn about yourself from these books. By the way, I can keep going. I'll keep going if you want to keep going. But so that's just the creation. That's just the creation story. Get back real quick to what does it mean to be made in the image of God? This comes up in the creation story. I think it means at the very least that we are all capable and called upon to create a good world. Like we're uniquely capable of creating a good world. I think that's what it means to be made in the image of God. And then of course we deviate from that constantly. But I think that's what that means. Then chapter 3, this book is so good. The next
start remembering stuff.
The next story, Cain and Abel. Abel. You guys know Cain and Abel. So these are like basically the first two humans. So Adam and Eve God created Adam and Eve, but then Adam and Eve created Cain and Abel, the two brothers. Again, just truth about who you are, whether or not you believe in God. You can learn about yourself from these stories. Abel is like the prize child. Abel makes the proper sacrifices, real sacrifices. And Cain, we're not told why, but Cain doesn't. Cain does like
destruction in that.
Yeah, self-sabotaging. Cain's doing like the fake sacrificing, which I can relate to. I've done that shit. And then Cain's upset because he's not as favored as Abel is in God's eyes. And so he kills Abel.
That's where jealousy comes in.
He kills Abel. So wild. Anyways, stop there for a second. And as it relates to learning about yourself, for me, what I took from that is there's Cain and Abel within all of us. Abel is that version of me that sees an ideal and works towards it and makes the proper sacrifices to make manifest that ideal. And then Cain is the version of me that says, fuck that. It's easier for me to just kill it. It's too much. The ideal is too big. It's acting as a judge upon me. And I don't want to feel what it makes me feel.
It's
and I don't want to
self-doubt in yourself.
Self-sabotaging, which I could do with the best of them. It goes back to that whole anger thing. I used to self-sabotage with the best of them. So anyways, then God basically says, this is interesting to me too. Cain's punishment is a life of wandering. A life of wandering. And he makes it so that nobody could kill him. So
He's always lost.
So he's just wandering, lost. And he says, the punishment is too much for me to bear. And I don't know about you guys, but when I felt like I'm just wandering with no fundamental orienting principle, no God, I'm just wandering, I'm incoherent, I'm lost, I'm a damn mess. It's too much to bear. So, go ahead.
No, so I was gonna tie it, right? Because obviously we got your book, right? Lovely You Are, and for those who have read it, right, like you can go into it a little bit about how you designed it and why you designed it. But I know when I read it to Rory, right, it becomes stories within the stories. Every page is a different story for Rory, by the way, because I can't just read the sentence. Homegirl's like, what's that?
Yeah.
What's that? What's this, daddy? And then she starts, you know, kind of talking into these different words. And I'm here like, and Yoli will tell you guys this, but I'm always telling her a story. I'm like, oh my God, look at baby girl. And she's in the rocket. And now baby girl's doing this and that and this and that. And she's in this huge fantasy, right? So like these stories are comparable and they directly correlate, because if I don't teach her that there's many different stories within the world, she's always going to be stuck in a straight line. And I don't want that for my daughter.
100%.
So like go into, I guess you could go into depth about how you created the book, right? Like based off of what was going on in your mind and what you saw for baby girl, which is your daughter.
I have, my wife is very talented. Basically, I would like to tell you guys that I created that book, but I had very little to do with it. I wrote the words and I came up with the money. From there, it was God, Kisa, and Bree. Shout out to Bree.
Who's Bree, by the way?
She was the illustrator. I forget her last name. Illustrations by Bree, something like that. I'll put her up on my story. But she's immensely talented. Anyways, what happened was I was looking forever. So that, take a step back, all the way back. The words for that book, so the poem itself, came to me in 2020 when I was driving to a camping trip with some of my best friends. And as soon as I got home from the camping trip, I said, this is something, I need to do something with this. I need to make this more real than just a poem in my head. And so from that point forward, I was trying to turn it into a book. And I was trying to work with all these professional illustrators from out of town, and like the shit just didn't work. I wasn't ready for it to work. It wasn't supposed to work at that time. Whatever. Then I kind of like gave up on it, put it on the shelf, and I was like, for now, I'm just gonna just produce more poems. Just keep making poems, and then the other shit will figure itself out when it's meant to. So summer of 2021, Kisa is at my little cousin's birthday party. And there's this lady there. Turns out she's Bree's mom. And Kisa and this lady just start connecting. Talking, and somehow they got onto the
wives, boy. They started talking. They started talking.
But somehow they got on the topic of like, oh, her daughter Bree is an illustrator. Oh, Kisa was looking for an illustrator to try to. So anyways, that's how they met. That's how we got introduced to Bree. And then Kisa and Bree designed the whole thing. I had nothing. Nothing to do with it. But it gets to the point, and I'm sure you guys can relate to this, and it's probably a challenge for you guys, is when you're basically hire good people and let them work. Stay out of it. But it's the hire the good people part that's the most difficult part. But when you find good people, just let them work and step out of it. Yeah. And she crushed it. And like you said, there are parallels. Like we're talking about Genesis and how you can learn about yourself through the book. It's the same idea. The way that Bree illustrated the book, it's like this girl opens a book, gets transported into some sort of alternate universe where she learns truths about herself. She confronts challenging emotions and
leaves her family,
and then comes back stronger.
Yep.
And it's this, and that's what good books are, and that's what good books do.
Yeah.
And if you don't like reading, it's because you're not reading good books.
Yep.
And I would say to people, what I say to the kids, what I most enjoy doing in relation to the book is going to schools and talking to kids and reading with the kids. And I tell every one of them, and I believe this, that we all have a story to tell. We all have a story that's worth writing, and write it. And if you're reading books you don't like, write the fucking book you want to read.
Yep.
Right.
And there's no rules. You could write a book. A poem is a book. I write poems because poems are easy. I'm not trying to write a novel. That's too much. Yeah. But there's no rules. Anyone could write a fucking book, bro. Yeah. And everyone's got something to say. Everyone has something worth writing and worth reading.
Can relate to someone.
Yeah.
That's the concept of the podcast right now.
Yeah.
You're telling your story visually, and now we're on audio, but now you're telling your story in a different form at this point.
Right.
That's the point of this.
I think it's that time.
I think it's that time.
We got questions. We need answers.
In the hot seat now.
You won $10 million tomorrow. What's the first thing you're buying?
First thing I'm gonna do is pay off my mortgage.
Okay.
Outside of that, I probably set up like a publishing company, like a proper publishing company, and start really putting out books. The most difficult part of putting out books is finding illustrators, because I don't illustrate, and I don't design books. I just do the words. So I would try to set up an operation to illustrate, design, and distribute books, which is to say, illustrated poems.
Yeah.
That's what I'm doing. But first thing I'm doing is paying off my mortgage.
We're gonna pay that off first. What's one common myth about your job?
Common myth about my job. That I think there's a lot of people who believe that they or others are able to outperform the market. So generate investment returns that are better than, let's say, the S&P 500. And I don't believe in that. I think that's a myth. I think if you are, it's because you're taking different risks. And maybe you're being compensated for taking those risks, but you're taking a different level of risk. So you're not beating the S&P 500, you're just taking more risk than, And you should not pay anybody to fucking invest on your behalf. You should pay zero and invest in index funds.
That's a hot take right there, because you know, folks, I think that's, since COVID, a lot more people have been more aware of what the market and invest in themselves. So yeah, I'll always ask you for tips and stuff like that. But, you know, I think the trend is have somebody do it for me.
Yeah.
Too. Yeah. Because it's too much. It's too much to learn. I'm just going to have somebody do it for me and try to forget about it.
Watch what they put you in. Pay attention to what funds they put you in and how much you're paying for those funds. You should not be paying any more than 10 basis points for any of your investments. 10 basis points is 10% of 1%. Okay? So, and you should not be paying any more than 10 basis points. And you can get everything you need for 10 basis points.
Good to know.
That's something to know. What's the most important lesson you've learned so far, career-wise?
Damn, most important lesson I've learned career-wise, to view it in a broader context of what I was talking about earlier, my purpose, serve the word of God via lullabies of love. My job has become easier for me since I came to that realization, because now I view it as the means by which I'm able to produce these books. It's not cheap to produce these books, and I'm not making money.
Yeah.
Okay? So,
and you're delivering the books. And
I'm giving so many, like, I'm just giving them out. I'm not. So it's, I'm not even I'm just giving them out. Let me know who's this camera. Let me know if you want to book.
He said, "What the f am I doing?"
So I think it's that, yo. I think it's find a way to appreciate your job, whatever your job is, and however much it is not what you want to be doing. There's something in there that you can appreciate about it, and find that. That for me, that was the most important.
What's your biggest fear?
My biggest fear.
Outside of this workout on Monday.
My biggest fear is being Cain. My biggest fear is having Cain make himself manifest versus Abel. So my biggest fear, the basis of my prayers, the evolution of my prayers is funny how they started and where they are now. But the basis of my prayer today is help me make manifest your will. Period. And my biggest fear is doing not that. Missing the mark in relation to that. Wow. That's my biggest fear. But that comes out in so many different ways. Lately, it's been challenging having my kids go to school. And,
we talk about that all the time.
And come home with shit that's like, what's going on here? And to bring it quickly back to Genesis, there's a famous story of Abraham and Isaac. Isaac is Abraham's son. And Abraham is called upon to sacrifice Isaac. It's like a brutal, savage story. And he prepares him to be sacrificed, brings him up to the mountain, ties him up, is about to cut him up. And God steps in, and there's like a ram over here, and they sacrifice the ram instead. And for me, that was basically, as a parent, and I imagine it's going to be an evolving thing. It's a forever thing. But as a parent, at some point, you have to let go of the child and maintain faith that God's will be made manifest and the child will be saved. That's what that story did for me. And it's fucking complicated right now.
It's not meant to be easy.
It's complicated. Coming home with shit, I'm like, and they're at that age where they're learning self-consciousness and fear. Like they're learning fear.
Person.
Yeah. And I see, and scared to do shit that I know they could do at times.
But
then
this is
other
where it
people
comes
are
as a
putting their
parent.
fears on.
You got to build that confidence.
Yeah.
Not being too aggressive, but enough where they know that if you're not around, they can still do that.
Yeah. And oftentimes I feel like I fail there. Yeah.
It's a working process.
Yeah.
As a parent, you learn. It's just like in life, individually, like by yourself. You took this journey by yourself to become who you are. So no one else came in and said, Sean, this is what you need to do. It took you to realize that. So with that being said, you saw something like that before within your parents or your grandparents or someone. You didn't know subconsciously that was in you. Right. So it had to come out on your own. So that's what I'm learning as a parent. I'm letting my kids do whatever they want. I'm going to let you know that there can be a cause and effect where you do something bad could happen. I'm going to tell you. But if it happens, I'm going to say, I told you. So then you realize, okay, if I do this again, but at the same time, I got to figure it out on my own at the end of the day. Because we see it with the kids that we train, the baby, to the point where some kids don't even know how to tie their shoes at the age of 14, 15.
God forbid.
And it's like, what's been going on? And then the parent comes in, you see them, your shoes untied, baby, I'll do it for you. There you go. There you go. That's why you're setting your kids up for failure. So at the end of the day, if there's one thing that I feel like as a parent, more parents need to do, especially at our generation, is let our kids be kids, tell them the dangers, but at the same time, they have to go through it.
Facts. It's well said.
Last question. When it's all said and done, how do you want to be remembered?
I don't want to be remembered. Genesis. Bring it back to Genesis. Who wrote Genesis? Nobody knows who wrote Genesis.
Let us know.
Nobody knows.
I was going to say.
Nobody knows. There's a belief. The Judaic Christian tradition is Moses wrote it, but nobody fucking knows who wrote Genesis. But to me, that is the prophet at peak operation. Is the prophecy lives forever, and the name is forgotten. No one knows who the fuck wrote it. So, and there's a Psalms 19. I love Psalms 19. I love Psalms. I'm gonna do my best to recite it right now. I might have to pull out my phone, but I think it's the heavens proclaim the glory of God. The sky displays his craftsmanship. Day after day, they continue to speak. Night after night, they make him known. They speak without a sound or word. Their voice is never heard. But their message has gone throughout the earth and the word to all the world. If I could do that, I don't want to be remembered. I want the word to be remembered. This is why I don't fuck with Busta Rhymes, by the way. It's no word.
It goes back.
Busta not saying nothing?
Huh?
Busta not saying
I'm not
nothing?
saying that.
I'm gonna send you some stuff.
We got
You
to
gotta-
tag
you
Busta. We got to
gotta
tag
change-
Busta. See if he
you gotta
responds.
change it.
Music, by the way, is introduced in the Bible in the city of Enoch, which is Cain's city. So that's interesting to me. So I don't know what it means.
We talk about
Right?
We could go there. I don't know if folks ready for that.
folks not ready for that
It's
conversation.
two. I think it's two. To me, it's two things. It's one is God's presence is everywhere,
Yeah.
even in the most evil cities.
Yeah.
But two is that there's something about music that
No, there's not something. There is something.
it can be co-opted. It's very easily co-opted and used for something very different than the word.
Demonic.
Yeah.
These two.
What
These phones.
It's the devil.
Music.
Hey, what brand is that? Apple. Who bit into that apple? And what do you do like
shit,
this?
that's-
You pray
That's
on the
wild.
phone.
That's
Same
crazy.
concept. It's their way of doing it their way.
Yeah.
People don't think that deep,
That's wild.
but they're gonna call you crazy if you bring it up to too many
Yeah,
people.
Man, the older I get, the more I feel like Bobby Boucher's mom. Everything is the fucking devil. Everywhere I look. But also, that's not a good place to be. I had to check myself. I can't be seeing the devil everywhere.
Yeah. You
The
gotta see
devil's
that.
gonna tempt you though, but if you got him, you ain't got nothing to worry about.
Yeah.
So we appreciate you coming
Sean,
through, spending time
word.
with us.
Thank you.
You got anything else for Sean?
Nah, he just gotta throw his
You gotta throw everything out. Talk to the
handles
handle.
on there.
I
Handle.
got one handle. The lullaby. This camera here.
Yep.
At the lullaby guy. Yeah. That's it. Yeah. At the
You
lullaby
gotta get
guy.
the books.
on
Make sure
Instagram.
y'all pay for that.
Yeah, don't take the free copy.
Stop giving freebies out, dog.
take
I'll
the
say
free
this
copy.
to any teachers, anyone, local teachers, let me know. I would love to come through and read with the kids and talk with the kids. I'm trying to do more of that. I love doing that. But yeah. good
Make
to
sure
be
y'all
here.
tap in. Also, he does financial advice.
I do not do financial advice.
He'll give you the real advice that these companies probably don't want you to hear.
They don't.
Right?
That's true.
He'll give you that. That's on the side, though.
Best advice I can give in relation to that is pay low fees and invest in index funds. If you do that, you're going to win. Period.
And Sean, you need to tell them because you just spit the whole Bible basically. Get in your Bible.
Get in your Bible. The
Get in
stories
that
are
book.
so good. There's so much truth in there. And if some people don't mess with truth, fine. But the stories are good. The narrative is good. Okay, they're in Egypt now and they're slaves in Egypt and the Exodus is the story of them leaving Egypt. But they don't go straight from Egypt and the tyranny of Egypt and slavery or whatever to the promised land. They go to the desert for 40 years. And that's what it is. And what does Moses say? Thus saith the Lord, let my people go so that they may serve me, so that they may worship me. We forget that. It's let my people go is what gets remembered. But let my people go so that they may serve me, thus saith the Lord. So it's something like perfect freedom is service to God. It's not just freedom with no orienting principle is chaos.
Yeah.
So
And they displayed that there was chaos.
chaos.
They started worshiping
And that's the thing. There's
false
content.
false idols, and they were partying. They went. That's
Having a
what
blast,
they
drinking,
lost
drinking.
their
Yep.
minds.
yo.
Last question before we leave. What's your favorite commandment out of the 10?
Well, that's a good question.
Yeah,
That's
Honor your mother and father.
that's mine.
Yeah,
That's mine.
that's a really good question, though.
Yeah.
What's yours?
I don't have one.
No, you got one?
I used to think that, but then I got into a different world when I got closer with my pastor, talking to him. There's certain things where I feel like, this is getting a little deep and a little personal, but at the same time, you can honor your mother and father, but what they've done to you, sometimes you got to question, what did your mother and father do to you?
For sure.
So you can honor them all you want.
And what
from
was
to
done to
afar.
them, too.
And what was done to them, because it's something that's learned.
Yeah.
But then you just have to go into that. But
It doesn't say love your mother and father. It doesn't say
It says honor.
even forgive your mother and
There's a
father.
big
It says
difference.
honor. It says lift
Yeah.
them up, basically.
Right.
Yeah, I think some
I don't know
people
what
take.
mine would be, though.
And we could go on and on about this. We might have to do a part 2, but there's certain stories in the Bible that people take literally, but there's, like Ross was saying, there's a story within the story. You could read one sentence and you could talk about one sentence for 3 days.
Yep.
And different stories and different
sure.
things. So I think it's important to get in that book and interpret your way. If you need help, you talk to somebody that helps explain stories for me is my grandma. My grandma in Barbados. There was years, 10, 15 years, I was reading the Bible and I was just reading it, but didn't understand it. And we used to watch the 10 Commandments that comes on every Easter. And I used to have to watch it. My dad would be like, you're watching that. And I'm watching this old ass movie. Like, man, the fuck, right?
Moving like that.
No, dude, I'm like, this long ass movie is 10 hours long with the commercials.
Damn.
Then one day my grandma breaks down what's going on with Moses and all of that. And the next year after she broke that down, I watched that thing at the edge of my seat, like, oh, I understand it now. So I think understanding is number one when you're reading the Bible, and it helps you want to be able to do it and read it more. So that's another.
So you can't be distracted. If you're not in tune with it, you can't be distracted while you're trying to get in tune with it.
Yeah.
And you also have to have an open mind, because a lot of people, we're supposed to be done, by the way, but we're going to go in depth a little bit more. But you're supposed to you got to be open-minded first before you say, oh, I'm good. Because right now, there's so many avenues that you can be misconstrued in regards to what your faith should be like, or what it is, or what you should believe in, what you shouldn't believe. You have to find that internally, your relationship with the Lord.
Yeah.
If you don't have that and you're just reading the book just to read it, you're not really going to get the full intent and be able to be open-minded, say, like you said, one sentence can be one thing, you're going to just read through it and be like, I read the Bible. Oh, I did Bible study. You didn't really,
well,
you
first
just
and
went through
foremost,
motions.
a lot of the words you probably won't even understand.
Yes.
So you need, there's books where my grandma bought me one, where you can,
They switch it up.
you
where
switch it up
they
where you
clean it
can
up,
understand the meaning. But my grandma keeps it so simple, and you understand, the understanding is at another level. So if I have questions, I'll hit her up. She breaks it down. One quick story. I was having trouble with the antics in church. That was like my number one. So one thing that I had a problem with was pastors having that voice that it's like they all sound the same, like right? I had that, and the people yelling out, echoing everything they're saying. I'm looking like, come on. So stuff like that, I'm like, Grandma, I can't go to church. Like, I can't deal with that. She was like, okay, you have a tray, you have food all on your tray, you have 2 cups on the tray, they're full to the top. You're walking with your tray. When you walk, are you looking at your food or are you looking at what's going on around you? I'm like, I'm looking at the tray to make sure I don't spill. She said, when you go to church, look at your tray. Don't worry about what's going on. Go there for the word. The antics are always going to be there. It's not perfect. Church isn't perfect. No one is perfect. So you're going to have your issues all the time. Focus on your tray. Once she said that, that's an automatic, like, all right. Simple answer that I could have easily thought of myself, but my mind wasn't there because I'm worried about everything on the outside. Yeah. So I think that's important too.
You need. It's important to have people, particularly elders, who you can bounce this shit off of, and peers too. Like, he changed my mind on something. Someone close to me does not believe in God yet, but we all have this instinct for transcendence. We want to believe in something, so people will believe in the moon or the astrology or whatever it is. And I had given this person a piece of advice when they were struggling, like, all right, cool, you don't want to pray to God, fine, talk to your grandma. And
who passed away?
Who passed. And in my view, in my mind, it was like a step in the direction of...
No, exactly.
And then he and I were talking about it one morning at 5:30 in the morning, and he, I think you had spoken with your grandma about an experience you had, and it got into the whole idea of necromancy, which is like basically speaking to the dead.
Yep.
Which in scripture is
a sin.
Outlawed,
not
basically.
Sin, but not,
I don't like that one bit.
Yeah.
We ain't gonna go into details, but I don't like it one bit.
What? You don't like what?
I don't like that talking to
them.
Yeah,
right. Now, but so he changed my mind on that. I went back to that person and said, yo, don't talk to grandma. Talk to God or talk to no one. But
talk to yourself.
Yeah, but that's a problem though.
I mean, it's a problem, but I'm saying to get a step in the direction rather than talking to a dead relative. If you're not gonna talk to God, if you're not there yet, or talk to myself or write it down.
But self is messy right now. You can't talk to self. This is what for me it was my struggle, and I see it as the struggle of non-believers. Is when you're struggling, and there is no orienting principle. Where do you turn to? Who do you turn to? Who do you?
I think I'm gonna get personal, but for me, writing stuff down helped me get out of my depressive state when I was done with football and I tore my Achilles. I wrote down every other day, speaking to my therapist, what was I thankful for, what brought me down that day, and what got me out of it. If I wrote that down, I felt
There's
great.
so much power in that.
Yeah.
It's hard to do.
But you can't, sometimes you can't speak it. Not everything needs to come off the tongue. Because again, we talk about this. Sometimes you say things, it's a spell, and you can speak bad things and you can speak good things. But if you write things, it makes you get that mental relationship with yourself because you're now visually seeing what you're writing and you're feeling what you're writing. And most people don't understand if they're writing stuff, you're getting it out internally. And once that gets out, it kind of released, for me, it released kind of a lot of pressure where I was like, damn, I don't know who to speak to. But if I got in a room and I got into my own world and I sat down and I wrote those 3 things down, I was good.
Yeah.
But I feel like that's just the way that helped me. It might help someone out there, but eventually, if you have true issues, go to therapy. Don't go to therapy. Don't avoid it. Don't think you're too good for it. Like,
Definitely go to therapy. Definitely go to therapy and seek counsel from elders and also from peers.
Yep.
We sorry.
Now we out.
You done now?
Peace.
XenHouse, yeah. XenHouse, yeah.